because it's something that you don't want to be awarded as an achievement, but rather it's an honor and it's bestowed upon that officer. Just to start out with some numbers, I'm a numbers guy, statistics, that's how I base things on when we decide on policies, procedures, staffing. I'm going to give you a number of 350. 350 officers were shot in 2023. Moving to this year in 2024, by March 1st, I hate these microphones. By March 1st of this year, from January to March 1st, 63 police officers have been shot in this country. Eleven of those were ambushed, where they were called to the scene and gunned down in the streets of the United States of America. I've seen no protesters, I've seen no signs, and you very rarely see this reported on the news. But yet we're a humble crowd. And when we're called, we respond to active shooters, domestic violence, people in harm's way. We're the ones that come when others back away. And tonight, we're here to honor Officer Dylan Struble. If you'll come up here, please. Officer Struble has been with our department for several months now. He's getting close to completing his 1-year probation. I've been doing this over 30 years. I can tell you the last 30 years at Clinton Township, only 5 of these, what I call honors, have been given to officers in this township, and as the Award of Valor. I'm going to read a letter from, where's the chief? Chief of Mifflin Township that passed it on to us. His thoughts about the incident that I'm going to read to you about here in a second. And I'm glad the other officers are here this evening. This is from Chief Briggs, Mifflin Township. Chief Jones, I first want to thank you and your department for the assistance you provided during the incident on Purdue Avenue, February 19th, 2024. Your officer acted in such a manner that showed the profession instilled in them by your leadership. I further want to thank Officer Struble for his valiant actions that I believe saved my officer's life. I watched the footage from the incident where I observed my officer unconscious on the ground with a suspect on top of him continuing the assault. When Officer Struble arrived on scene, he immediately jumped into action, knowing the danger, knowing my officer had been assaulted and knocked unconscious and the suspect had a knife. Officer Struble did not hesitate in engaging the suspect, where Officer Struble fought with the suspect and was able to get control of him on the ground, and with the assistance of arriving CPD officers, was able to take him into custody. I believe this to be an outstanding act of valor on Officer Struble's part in an extremely hazardous situation. He was able to think quickly on his feet under pressure, evaluate the situation, and was aware of the hazards and still took immediate action, knowing there was an incontestable risk of death or serious physical harm to himself. I believe these actions to be what saved my officer's life. Now I'll tell you, I saw that video, and I've been in a few situations over my 30 years. This officer was on the ground, he was unconscious, skull fractured, brain bleeding, and being viciously stabbed. He didn't even know what was going on to him. Within seconds, Officer Struble pulled up to the scene. That suspect had got off of the officer that was on the ground and immediately charged at Officer Struble without hesitation. So tonight, we are bestowing this, and again, I don't call it an award because it's something you don't achieve. It's not a participation trophy. So on February 19th, 2024, Officer Struble responded to an officer in trouble call located in Mifflin Township. Officer Struble arrived as the first officer on scene to observe a Mifflin Township officer lying in the roadway, unresponsive and seriously injured. The suspect who was violently attacking and stabbing the Mifflin officer now turned his attention to Officer Struble, who was exiting his patrol car, and came at Struble immediately with knife in hand. Officer Struble, without hesitation, engaged the suspect and fought with him, getting him to the ground. Other officers arrived at this time and assisted in getting the suspect secured. Without the immediate response and actions of Officer Struble, the Mifflin Township officer may not have survived this violent attack on his life. Villain Struble is hereby giving the Award of Valor from the Clinton Township Police Department for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of the officer's life to protect fellow officers and the public from an armed violent suspect who had no regard for human life.
Here, here.